Hello out there in the YouTubeverse, it is Max, and I am back with you, and no, I haven't gone back in time. Well, to you, I guess I'm always back in time, because these are older, no matter what. Okay, well, now that I've screwed up the intro, I am doing a flashback draft of Dominaria. Get excited, because this is one of the all-time great limited sets, no doubt. You can see, note, the set is not legal in standard. See that? Yeah, right there. So, not legal in standard. So, you know, it's new old. We're going to pay our gems and do this damn draft. Alright, so we have Haphazard Bombardment, which was a card I was fairly fond of in the set. Pretty good piece of removal. 6-drop enchantment that doesn't do anything too crazy right away. At the end step, you get to start to pay off. But this is way better than it looks. This set's very, very slow. Baird, very good. Sarah Angel is as good as Sarah Angel has always been in this set. Sheevan Fire's great. Eviscerate's great. Happy to take an Academy Journey Mage if you're on the Wizards deck or just a good version of a tempo deck. So this is actually a pretty tough pickup. To me, to my mind, it's between the Sarah Angel, the Haphazard Bombardment, and the Eviscerate. If I were drafting at a table of human beings, I'd almost 100% want to take the Eviscerate, though the Sarah Angel's tempting. The Eviscerate's good because it is weaker than a Sarah Angel, arguably weaker than a Baird or a Haphazard Bombardment, but I know I'm going to put the next player on white or red, and then the following player on the other color, and I'm going to be firmly ensconced in black, which is not represented at all in this pack, the rest of the pack. I won't wheel anything out of this pack as a bit of a negative, but hopefully by then I've gotten enough information that I can start to kind of figure out exactly what my second color is. So that is what I would do if I were at a human being table of drafters, but I'm not. I'm at a computer of bot drafters, so things become a lot more difficult. So what do we do is the real... It's tricky. I like the Bombardment. I like that it's removal. I like the Shivan Fire. I also like that it is removal. Eviscerate, I like its removal. Sarah Angel, I like is a very big threat in this format. I think I'm leaning towards the Bombardment. I think. It's tough. The Sarah Angel's quite good in this format. White was very draftable. All the colors are very draftable in this format. One of the reasons why it was one of the all-time great limited formats is because all the colors are pretty reasonably draftable. So what do we take is the tough one. This is a tough pick. All these cards are pretty darn good and pretty defensible first picks. I think it's the Angel, the Bombardment, or the Eviscerate are really our choices here. Excuse me. I think I'm going to take the Bombardment just because it's the rare. It's cool, right? You come to these flashback drafts for cool cards. If we had taken the Sarah Angel, I'd be considering Blessed Light right now. We didn't take the Sarah Angel. We took the Haphazard Bombardment. So that leads me to want to take Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp. We're not super committed to red, and there's no other really good red card. The only other red card is Keldon Raider, which is a fine red card. But Zahid's really good. I like me an Untamed Kavu a lot. But it's really Zahid, Untamed Kavu, and Blessed Light are the cards I'd consider taking on this pack. This pack's actually a lot worse than our first pack. Like, by a decent clue. This is a god-awful pack, kind of, outside of Zahid. So I'm really intrigued. We could go with the Kavu and try to get down something early. It's a decent enough 2/2 if you really need one, or if not, it is a 5/5 Vigilant Trampler for 5, which is a really nice card. Zahid, though, is crazy. It's a legend, so we can get some cool legendary stuff. If we get Jaya's Immolating Inferno, that card's very good. This is a legend to help cast that. So I think I'm going to take Zahid, because again, flashback draft, you're coming for the rares. We want some high upside cards, some cool stuff, for sure. This one looks like a fairly clear pick to me. Again, if I had taken the Sarah Angel early, I'd be grabbing up this Pegasus Courser over Gideon's Reproach, which I think is a very playable and good card in this format. For us, there is a Jousting Lance in here, which can, if we were looking to trigger Historic, this Jousting Lance pairs really nicely with Zahid, because we could use the Jousting Lance and cast Zahid, which is really good. The card for me, though, is Memorial to Genius. This card is very good. These games go very long. This helps make your lands not as bad. This card is awesome. I really, really like it, and I think it's not really close to the others in power level. And again, if you disagree with any of my picks at any point, we love getting comments, suggestions. Our goal here is to get better at this, right? Like, we're not pros by any stretch. We're just avid fans of the game and longtime players. So we're pretty good, but we're not great. So, help make Superliminal great again, and hopefully give us some suggestions as you see them in here. Like, don't make references to making something great again. I'm sure Dan will put that in the comments if he sees that. I like Skizik in this pack. I like Coldwater Snapper quite a bit, but these tend to go a little later and they're a little easier to get. Skizik's a little bit more unique, and it's an interesting effect. It's a hard card to evaluate in this format because it's so overly aggressive compared to some of the other cards. But we're going to take the Skizik and see what we can do with it. And that kind of firmly implants us into blue-red at this point. And there's no reason to shift off of that Weight of Memory in this pack. We're not going to grow from the ashes because you don't really want to splash, splash for fixing. That's kind of the point of fixing, is to help make your colors better. So you want to splash something off color if you were a green drafter. And this card is very strong in this format. It's very good. Weight of Memory, though, is an awesome blue card. It sets us up to really take advantage of things in the late game. I am glad we have one and happy to have it. There's a Sentinel of the Pearl Trident in here. It's okay. It can blink something. It pairs well with Zahid. It doesn't really pair well with anything else we have yet, because the enchantment is not legendary, and this can only do a historic permanent, which if that could, that'd be so good. But it's not. So, blue-red is the color of wizards we could spec on a Get-To Journey Mage and try to just build out a decent wizard curve, as opposed to the Sentinel being like this weird 5-drop Merfolk soldier. So, while it does have a little bit of interaction with Zahid and could potentially like be a 5-drop, that counters a removal spell, I think I'm just going to take the Get-To Journey Mage, try to keep my curve low, maybe try to fill in some spots with wizards and see what we can do. In this pack, if I were drafting with humans, I would maybe consider a hate draft. I think Sergeant at Arms is by far the strongest card left in the pack. I don't hate a Cabal Paladin in the right deck. I think Knight of Nubenalia is at one of its weakest in this set. It's a set full of Saprolings that just, you're trading half or less of a card for a Knight of Nubenalia. But Knight of Nubenalia can, if you get a Jousting Lance on it, can be pretty nasty. Like, you put it on 2, attack with it on 3 if they have no blocker, if you went first. Then you get to play, equip the Jousting Lance, attack again for 5, and they can't really profitably block. So it has a bit of use. It's not terrible. And that's, again, one of the reasons this set is one of the all-time good draft sets, is because not every card is terrible. We're going to Keldon Warcaller here, just because it's a 2-drop. I'm hoping it doesn't make our final configuration. But if it does, it does. I'm not super sad, but I'm not super thrilled if it doesn't. I mean, white was flowing pretty nicely in this pack. We have another Get-To Journey Mage, though. I'm not hating that. I like Relic Runner a decent amount, but it requires a very specific deck to go off. But it is a cool deck if you can build it. It's one of the more unique decks in the format because it's a true dedicated aggro deck. But we're going to take the Get-To Journey Mage here. And again, just try to fill our low drops with wizards, which are aplenty in blue and red. So that's the hope here. This is pretty much a dud for us. There's nothing going on that's of any kind of consequence to us. Partick Wanderer is the most draftable card, so we'll take that. It could say discount us as a Zahid, but that's not really something we're considering when we're already casting the Partick Wanderer, so whatever. Nothing really here for us at all. We'll take a Power Stone Shard and throw it on the board. That one's for you, Palatine. Unwind here, a Run Amok. I take the first Run Amok over the first Unwind. This is a slow deck, and it could definitely look to control a game. But Unwind is, like, just okay. Run Amok, it really doesn't fit in this deck, though. I guess I'll take the Unwind and put it in the board for now. Normally I'd take the Run Amok there, but we're just so far back on curve. Like, our curve's one 2-drop, 2 3-drops, a 4-drop, a 5-drop, a 6-drop, a 6-drop, a 6-drop in a land. Like, we're not doing much stuff quickly at the moment. I'll take a Fervent Strike. I'll take the Trick. It also triggers Natalie's if we get one, and that's worth thinking about. Traxos, a really interesting card from the set. Enters the battlefield and doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you cast a historic spell, you get to untap Traxos, and he's a very undercosted 7/7 Trampler. Very interesting card, very unique. For my eyes in this pack, they get drawn to the Divination in the pack. This card's very powerful. There's a million years in this set to use cards like Divination. We have some good finishers. We need to get to them and try to win that way. There is an Eviscerate in this pack. I love this card. Tetsuko is not really for us. We're a little bit bigger threat density than that. I'm really hoping this Get to Chronicler wheels, because that plus Divination is really good. And that plus Weight of Memory is really good. So we have a lot of card advantage we can generate. So happy to take the first Divination out of this pack. Okay, this is a pretty cool pack. We have a Joyra. Whenever we cast a historic spell, we can draw a card. Pairs well with Pardic Wander. Pairs well with Zahid. We can try to put a higher importance on historic spells going forward. I think that's a little ambitious. She's just a 3/3 for 4. If she draws you a card or two, that's great, but not anything that's like incredible. That being said, there's a Song of Freyalise in this pack, which I think is absurd. That card's very powerful. For us, I'm looking at Blink of an Eye versus Shivan Fire. I'm leaning to... So right now we have the Haphazard Bombardment as our only piece of removal. It's very slow. Blink of an Eye is a nice tempo play that draws us a card. I really like Blink of an Eye. Blink of an Eye is a nice little combo with the Get to Lava Runner. You can bounce your own guy, draw a card, recast the Get to Lava Runner, get back the Blink of an Eye, use it to block, and you kind of have this little value engine that's like not anything amazing, but it's decent. The Shivan Fire is just good removal, and I think we want to take our first good removal spell over Blink of an Eye. It's been a long time, obviously, for all of us since we've drafted this format. I mean, unless you grabbed up some boxes and stuff and drafted with your buddies, which is awesome. But I do believe Blink of an Eye, I don't know what was a higher premium. There is some argument to trying to get into a lane stronger of one color. Right now it looks like that's going to be red for us, even though all of our blue cards are double pipped, so that could be an argument for Blink of an Eye being essentially another double pipped card. So that's a really interesting standoff between those two cards. I'm going to try the Shivan Fire. That could be very wrong, but I think that the first cheap removal and piece of interaction is better than the Blink of an Eye, which is good, and it's a really good card, but we need to be able to answer early threats and not get our faces smashed in. There's a Diligent Excavator here. It's a fine card, but it's not really for us. We're not trying to mill. Vicious Offering, great card in this set. I really like it a lot. A Seer Glider would be nice if we had picked up the Joyra and it's like, okay, these are the kind of cards we need to start prioritizing. I think it's a little early to take a Clarion Scholar, even with 2 Get to Journey Mage. I think we can do better. There is Fiery Intervention, which is an expensive piece of removal. It would be our third piece of removal, and we're not giving up much to take it here. While I don't think it's phenomenal, I do think it's flexible enough that we're going to take it and maybe not have to... Damn it. Alright, this is... Wow. Okay, so this is really interesting. Another Zahid, which is unlikely, right? Like, even though this is a legend, the odds of us having 2 increases the chances we draw Zahid more regularly. So that's really good. I would take that over worrying about, oh, well, it's a legend, so what if you draw both? Okay, whatever. If I draw both, the opponent is going to put an onus on killing Zahid because it's very powerful. So we're, like, having 2 is fantastic. That being said, Fight with Fire may be my personal favorite card in this set. It's really good. It can just end a long, grindy game out of nowhere. It's just half of your opponent's life total in one Magic card. That is nothing to sneeze at. It costs 9 to kick it to do the 10 damage, but you're either wiping your opponent's board or you're just winning the game on the spot. So I'm going to take the Fight with Fire over Zahid. And again, maybe I pick up a Get to Chronicler. This pack's not horrible. There's definitely going to be an Invoke the Divine and an Unwind in it, but we'll see. We'll see. Alright, into this pack. This is a lot worse than the packs we were looking at previously. There's some awesome cards in here. Grow from the Ashes, Dauntless Bodyguard. Both cool cards. I love the Memorials, though my favorite one has already been picked by us. I'm just going to take a Befuddle. It's okay. It can help us make blocks and keep things alive. What I think we really need to start putting a premium on, if we can, is getting creatures, because right now we're very creature light. It's not a death knell in this format like it is in other formats, but it is something that's on my mind, and I really want to make sure we're picking up creatures and not just good spells. Again, that being said, this pack has some pretty weak choices. We could take a Get to Lava Runner, which isn't bad, Like, it's not fantastic. It's certainly not at its best in this deck, but it's okay. There's also a Tolarian Scholar, which I still stick to the... I don't think we're quite ready to start taking Tolarian Scholars yet. I'm honestly thinking about the Syncopate. It's our first counterspell. This deck definitely wants a counterspell or two, possibly, and Syncopate is about as good a one as we can hope. Wizard's Retort's fine. The double blue pips is sometimes a little taxing, but it's not bad. Okay, so with Zahid as a finisher that is in the air, we could potentially take the Deep Freeze here. If we were a more dedicated on-the-ground Wizard deck, I wouldn't be as interested in Deep Freeze, but shutting off something we can't deal with our burn-based removal is going to be pretty nice, so I'm happy to have my first Deep Freeze. This pack has Get to Chronicler and nothing else, so we're going to take that. Nothing really going on here. I'm going to snag this Arcane Flight just in case we grab a late Coldwater Snapper. I have no problems with that. This pack I'll take a Hammered Explorer out of because it's decent. It's decent enough. See, here's a Tolarian's. Ooh, was a Rampaging Cyclops, though. That's interesting. The Cyclops is actually okay. Like, it's a big, beefy blocker. It attacks kind of anemically sometimes, but just an efficient 4/4 to keep us alive in a control deck seems better than a 2/3. Partick Wanderer number 2 is not going to make the deck. I don't think Run Amok's going to make the deck or Second Unwind, so none of that's going in. And we end on a Skirk Prospector, which will not make the deck. Oh, an Antiquities War. Oh, man, this card's so cool, but basically unplayable. Wish we could, but I don't think we can. There's a Joyrus Familiar in here who pairs pretty nicely with Zahid. I don't think it reduces the alternate cost of things because it reduces the spells you cast cost rather than pay the spell's mana cost. I don't know. I'm not a judge. Well, I haven't judged in a long time, so I don't have a judge certification anymore. It's been a minute. So I'm going to guess that doesn't work. But that being said, Joyrus Familiar may be the best card for us in this pack. It's an evasive attacker that can hopefully get some things done. It makes Zahid just cheaper any way you spin it. Even if we tap it, even if we can't tap it to make it that much cheaper, it's still, if we cast this, we'll be able to cast Zahid on a discount. So even if we miss our 5th land drop, we could then use the Familiar to cast Zahid pending we have the blue. I like that, I think, better than second Fiery Intervention or second Hammered Explorer. So let's take the Joyrus Familiar. And see, there's another way to memory in this pack that's very good. There's Josu Vess. Oh my god, that card's messed up. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. There's a Keldon Raider, and we're kind of getting glutted on these middle ground drops. I'm starting to feel a little bad about my Rampaging. So I don't think so, though, because I was going to take a Tolarian Scholar. Yeah, never mind. I don't feel bad anymore. I think I'm just going to take a Vidalian Arcanist. We cast a lot of spells. I just want a creature down early. I'd love to take a second Weight of Memory, but I think we need this Arcanist to make sure we just don't get run over by something a little bit more low to the ground than us. Man, are you kidding me? An Elfheim Druid and Slimefoot are both in this pack? Holy crap. Also, the Arcanist is a wizard. It's worth noting. I'm going to take the Cloud Reader Sphinx, another evasive threat that can come down and win us a game. That is fantastic. I'm not saying we're like super light on creatures, but we're pretty light, and I'd like to get the win condition while I can. This pack's kind of a dud for us. I don't know how I feel about second Deep Freeze, but I guess I feel better about it than anything else in the pack, so we'll take Deep Freeze. But I'm not happy with that. Radiating Lightning is okay. It can definitely catch your opponent's Saproling deck and just completely wreck them. It can also set up some pretty nice things after blocks. There was a point in the meta where that card was played in the main. I don't know if we're going to be the people to play it in the main, but it's an interesting choice. Again, these packs are getting lean. We're going to take the Vidalian Arcanist number 2. We may end up playing it. It's rough. We're in a rough spot. Like you can see, kind of, there's just nothing in these packs for us, unfortunately. That continues to be the case. I may take this wall and may have to play it. Hammered Explorer is not horrible, but not great. We're so glutted on 4s. Our 4-drop is chonky, to say the least. Man, we're just, I mean, like, a late Syncopate like that is clutch, but I'm just not loving it. Black was wide open. Dark Bargain this late? Are you kidding me? Yeah, should not be that late. Okay, cool. Got some gems. Alright, we got to cut 2 cards from this particular deck. We're a little high on 4s. I don't know if I can cut any. Maybe a Hammered Explorer. I mean, I could try to go for the mill, but generally the accepted practice is you mill yourself with the Homered Explorer. But if I'm playing 2 Homered Explorers and the weight of memory, I could try to slowly grind my opponent out and try to mill them. That's a total mill of 9 cards, which isn't ridiculous, but it's enough in Dominaria that it's a slow enough format that could be a thing. I'm not particularly happy with the Keldon Warcaller, but we're at 15 creatures, and I could go to 14, and I wouldn't be super unhappy about it, but I don't want to go any lower than that if I can help it. So I think I'm going to drop a creature and a non-creature, and it's likely going to be the Keldon Warcaller, because right now we have 10 non-creature spells. Most of them are instants and sorceries outside of a haphazard bombardment and 2 deep freeze, so we have 7... 7, right? Yes, 7 instants or sorceries that the Arcanist can cast. So that's pretty good. So let's knock a Warcaller back, because we have literally nothing that interacts with it. It's just a Nilla 2/2 and a late game draw that's just like makes you want to kind of heave. So I don't want to necessarily play that. I don't know what my next cut's going to be. I'm looking at possibly a deep freeze. Shivan Fire's good, Syncopate's good, Befuddle is okay. It draws a card and can kind of stall a combat step. Divination's great. Fight with Fire's great. All our 4-drops are critters. Weight of Memory's great. Fire Intervention's a solid removal spell. Zahid, Partick Wanderer, and Haphazard. Yeah, I think we can afford to give up a Deep Freeze. Now, let me know in the comments what you think if we should get... It's really between Deep Freeze and Befuddle, but I think Befuddle, drawing a card is good enough. If we end up where our board's just empty so much, or like we're using Befuddle to just get like a value block with a Joyous Familiar, I will definitely switch it. But for now, I think that's correct. So we're going to try it that way. I might go up one more blue here. 7 red. Right now we're 9-8. So I might go... Maybe I go 10-7. We don't need to cast the Chronicler early, but it is kind of a 2-pip drop. The Get 2 Journey Mages, we kind of want to drop semi-early if we can, but like isn't required, and everything else is pretty much 1 pip. So I'm going to do that because I just think we do need the blue cards pretty badly. So let us do that, and we'll give it a shot. It was kind of like very uncharacteristic blue-red deck, though there was like the Mirari Conjecture style blue-red spells deck that was very good. We didn't get a ton of good stuff for it, but I think we have enough that the deck is decent. I could see this being, if I had to predict, I could see this being like a 4-win deck. Maybe a little higher if I'm careful and a little lucky, but I could see this definitely being a decent little deck here for us in terms of what it's capable of, but you never know. I've been way wrong about this before, so I don't know. We'll see. I don't think the deck looks horrible. I think the deck was maybe 1 or 2 cards away from really fantastic, but outside of them being like uncommons or rares, I'm not really sure what would make them fantastic. So it's interesting to see. We'll find out in this first round here. Prism Zet. I appreciate the use and underscore. And they go first. Double Arcanist into nothing we can use them with is pretty bad. I don't want to get caught in a position where we get land screwed. That is an easy way to lose in Dominaria, is to not make your land drops. This hand, while it looks on the level kind of the same, I think it's a whole lot better. The Memorial to Genius on the first turn is really nice. The Arcanist on the second turn is solid. It's really about what are we going to get rid of, the Intervention or the Bombardment. I think it's just going to be the Intervention. We have a Deep Freeze if something really crazy comes down, and then we have Bombardment to start cleaning up in the later games. So I think that Deep Freeze is going to be the card that goes at the bottom. And we'll lead on a Memorial to Genius. I'm a big fan of playing my card out to the middle because I know nothing's going to change my mind. This is the only tap land in the deck. So, opponent's playing Navigator's Compass, which was considered largely an unplayable. Oh man, is the opponent have full control on? What are we doing? One thing I'm not a fan of, especially in this format, is slow play. Like, come on, let's go. We all got stuff to do, right? Like, got work in the morning, perhaps. We have, I mean, certainly something more important to do than this. Like, certainly something more important to do than hold that control for 3 seconds. Like, do you really need that? Do you really, like, are you really concerned? You're in gold. Gold 4, it looks like. And that's your concern. So we could block here and trade them off. That would put us up to 3 land. We couldn't necessarily cast. Right now we can't cast anything anyway. So I'm fine with trading. If opponent wants to pump, I'm also fine with that. I'm fine with trading a card for this Arcanist, basically is what I'm saying. It looks like opponent is going to have this tap for black. So if they're going to use like a premium removal spell on this card, like a Vicious Offering or something, that is just fantastic. I really couldn't ask for more. They took their turn off to do that, and this is exactly what I want out of my opponents. Like, they're getting rid of premium removal spells on unplay. Like, just these cards should mean nothing. Like, you offer the trade for the night, right? Like, that's just, and they're not even attacking with it right now. That's crazy. And we're going to go ahead and pass back. Represent something like a blink of an eye. Hopefully represent something like a blink of an eye. The next turn would be great to draw into maybe a Weight of Memory. Something along those lines. I'll happily take one off the Sparring Construct. One thing you want to bear in mind in Dominaria specifically is your life total is a major resource. Like, there's nothing wrong with using your life total. And that was basically a perfect draw, having them have just played Danitha. We're removing Danitha. That card is way above rate, I think. First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink, and she makes things cheaper. Has a lot of abilities. Pump spells become ridiculous with Danitha. I think it's better than establishing a Homerid Explorer or a Joyrus Familiar here. I think we're just going to go ahead and just dome Danitha. Now, I could get it back because they look to be Mardu, so they could do something like a Soul Salvage, but I'm happy to get rid of their first major threat. This also incorporates me taking 4 damage, which, again, don't be afraid to use your life total. The game, hopefully, if we have our way, the game will go long, and we won't get too domed, but, you know, we'll do what we can. The opponent was afraid to attack into our 1-3 with their 3-1 without a trick, so I'm hoping that means we have some time. Now I'll establish the Homerid Explorer. I'm on the fence about who I'd like to mill. The correct ethos is I mill myself, but I have nothing to get cards back with, so I'm just going to mill the opponent. Yeah, see? I mean, don't be results-oriented and be like, I got 2 good cards, so therefore that was the right choice. No, you don't know. It's a mill. I just don't have any way outside of 1 Get 2 Chronicler to loop anything, and right now I already have a card I'm happy to get back. So I'm not interested in that. Here I'll take the block. If they want to use a real card on this, I'm fine with it. Like, the +2/+2 is fine. If this dies and they put a counter on Knight of Numenaya, I have a Homerid Explorer to trade with it. Fine with that. That was a 1 for nothing. Basically, they had an effect. Like, don't really care, to be honest. Like, don't care. We need a second red to really make this work, and I'm in for drawing cards. Our opponent did nothing on this past turn cycle, and I'm just going to draw more cards. I have a nice assortment of creatures to help me, and that's another reason is... Oh, I get it. I target the player, not to draw the cards. It's been a minute. Draw 3 cards, then the target player does that. It's fine. We lost a Get 2 Journey Mage and a Befuddle I could care less about. Not the biggest deal, but reading cards is important, people. Read the card. Read the card. We did not draw another red source, which is fine. We set up for... Okay, there it is. Dermorn. We could play the Skizik and kick it and attempt to attack to see what the opponent does. We can hold back, which seems kind of lame to me. There's not enough good stuff in play yet to consider bombardment at all. We could play the Joyrus Familiar in the hope to block the Sarah Disciple, but this card's very hard to block because of First Strike. So I think I'm just going to play the Skizik and I'm going to attack with it. I'll pay the kicker so that they think it's important to me, but I'm going to attack with the Skizik, 100%. It's got trample, so I'm getting in 3 points minimally. Like, I have no problem with that. They could have a fungal infection here. It's not going to do enough for me to care. So they have a 4/2. They're like they can soak up 1 damage here. Okay. The First Strike doesn't work. They just gave that up. Okay, so that was a full 2 for 1. So Skizik doing good work. And I'm definitely evaluating card value higher than I would in a normal limited set. Tempo is a big deal in a lot of limited sets. In Dominaria, it's kind of not. Like, it doesn't matter as much as it does in other sets. So it's all about kind of counting card equity, and how much mana are you investing in cards and how many cards are you investing to trade the board away. This is very much a game of who can do better. There are some aggro decks that are just hard to really make work in Dominaria specifically. So it's interesting to see. And I mean, like, now they have to worry about attacks like that because they threw away their fungal infection. I mean, it's interesting to see what the opponent's doing. Oh, the only non-interesting part is how long they're taking to make their decisions. But I understand. So we're going to play an island because no harm, no foul there. I don't think we're interested in attacking still. I don't know if we want to play this Amaranthan Wall. I think we're just going to play a Divination and see what other resources we get. This might be the right time for Joyous Familiar to start pulling ahead with an evasive card. So I think that's the road we're going to travel. This is going to set up for the wall to be a little cheaper next turn if we wish to play the wall. It's a great blocker on this board. It's an evasive threat that's going to start clocking the opponent's life total, which is very good. Blood Tallow Candle is a long way away from activating. Okay, fantastic. So we have a wizard down with the Arcanist, so we can definitely jam some cards. So with them with black, white, and the Navigator's Compass stuck on land before the Blood Tallow Candle, this makes me also kind of want to get the Hammered Explorer into the battlefield now, especially having drawn the Get To Journey Mage. I kind of want to see what the opponent's interested in and how highly they value their creatures here. Okay. So we're going to play the Get To Journey Mage. It's going to be really hard for them to kill the Arcanist in response, so they're just going to get domed for 2. Then we're going to play the Amaranthian Wall. And we will hold tight there. We still have this Bombardment if opponent plays something absurd. We have a lot of time, but opponent could play something absurd, but they're stuck on lands. So that's no big deal. And we have a Fight with Fire with 9 mana. So I do believe we're going to run similar attacks. We're going to also throw the Journey Mage into the mix. See if they have something. But I see no reason to try not to win the game here if possible. They're going to Gideon's Reproach. Yeah, you got it. So it looks like 5 coming in here. If they do not block, they're dead. Okay. They decide they want to trade off Benelish Honor Guard. Okay. No problems with that. What I think... So there's a lot of options, right? We have a lot of things that we can do here. I think the best thing is going to be just Fight with Fire their face. I'll go ahead and take out their board too. So this is going to take out their board. It's going to clock them in the face for a ton of damage. And we'll see what they can do. We have a Get To Chronicler to pick it back up. So happily swinging in most of their life total here. Okay, we're going to play Get To Chronicler with Kicker. And I'm going to pick up a Fight with Fire. And we'll end the turn. Just in case, I mean, they can't get the Caligo Skin, which kicked. But they can't divest us because it doesn't fit into the things divest gets, like its artifacts or creatures. Yeah, there's no, like, that's, yeah. What do you do? How are you going to stop me from dealing 10 to your face? Alright, good. So we managed to control the board, stop a couple early threats. Opponent got stuck on land for a long time and gave us a million years to get by them, but we did it. So that's the important thing. The deck not being able to do it would be a little questionable. It wasn't, like, stellar, and I effed up the weight of memory thing, but it won't happen again. This is a really interesting hand. I just don't know if there's enough action in here to do anything. We could deep freeze their first threat, but it's not like I'm itching to do that. I'm going to mulligan, see if I can get a more robust hand. This is definitely fits the bill here. I think we get rid of the Pardic Wanderer. I think. The correct answer could be Skizzik. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of Skizzik. It's the weirdest card. So we have the Arcanist guaranteed, which means we have the Divination guaranteed. Not guaranteed. They could kill. I love these sleeves. The Chandra Fire sleeves are cool. Oh, they also have a Cerberus pet. That's cool. Putting it all out on the accoutrement. Opponent says, I love extra shit. You better believe it. Get to Lava Runner. Fine card. Arcanist probably going to end up doing a little bit of overtime. If we throw Arcanist into the blocking arena, it's probably going to get checked. Something like a Run Amok will probably get played. So we need to be aware of that. But the nice thing is, now that we have the other land, I'm not as afraid to throw it out for a chump check. Okay, they get their 2 damage in, and they can't attack us with the Lava Runner now. I almost would have attacked, because I may not have blocked. That's free, because of it being a 1-2. Fantastic. That was actually, like, some good draws. Happy to have the lands in here. Our hand's a little slow. We're definitely in 1 spell per turn territory. Holy crapola. They're wasting a fight with fire on that card? Whoa. Okay. So there's some things here we need to consider. We could take another 4, and they have 2 cards in hand to try to dead us. This is interesting. I don't know if there's going to be a better time than now to do this. I think it's this, and I think it's play this. I'm not in love with this play by any stretch of the imagination. I think Get To Chronicler is very powerful, and I think this is a very questionable use of it. But we're getting clocked pretty hard. This saves us a damage here, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. I'm going to block. If they have a Run Amok, they have a Run Amok. But saving us a damage here could add up in the long run. Okay. So we're going to just fiery the Cyclops, because we don't have much of a choice. We have a Befuddle. Again, we're still in 1 spell per turn territory. And that's a bit problematic. But we need, if opponent plays another spell, next turn we get to play a Haphazard Bombardment. And we get to choose 4 cards. Again, I'm going to run a block on the Lava Runner. Okay, so opponent did not play anything. We're just going to play the Partick Wanderer. And we're going to try to block. We have a Befuddle next turn if we need it. We're trying to get the opponent to play something else, if we can, to use our Bombardment. Okay. 5 damage. Bold. So now we get to block 2 damage. Opponent's getting us low. We definitely need to do something. But with the Befuddle there, I'm kind of okay with this. I don't mind passing the turn here with just the Chronicler. I'm hoping I can get one more thing. They're going to divest us. Target player reveals their hand, artifact, or creature card from it. Yeah, you got it. And they're still serving. And we'll Befuddle. Okay, and they run in no damage here. Okay, we have a Get To Journey Mage. That's a nice draw. That leaves us mana up to Syncopate with. And now we've kind of stalled the board effectively. We have a Syncopate for whatever the opponent does. Blocks like that. And we will 100% counter that. Absolutely no. Plays the Heat. No attacks. They're going to eviscerate the Heat, understandable. Okay, we'll play another Get To Journey Mage. Yeah, there's no reason to play the Bombardment. I was just debating about the Memorial, which costs 1 more than we have, unfortunately. But I think getting the Get To Journey Mage down here in case of a haste creature or something is important. There's the dude who has Kicker that takes a dude, which is pretty good. So they're going to get to Skim Witch our last card, which is the Bombardment. That's fine. It's not great. Like, I'm not thrilled with it. The Bombardment was our pack 1, pick 1. But I can live with it. Here we'll just get to crack the Memorial. See what they do here. I'm just debating if, because if they run amok, it's +3/+3, so it's 5. It's not enough, so we're just gonna run it like this. And the Chronicler's paid off, right? Like, that was a questionable decision. I'm not saying that, again, shouldn't let what the opponent has pass off, but I'd say it's definitely soaked up enough damage that it's not a problem. Goodness gracious, that's a lot of land. Wall. You ain't getting by the wall, friend. I'm debating on attacks here. Opponent's doing something. I think we're just going to go ahead and attack. I don't see how this necessarily bites us, and we need to start trying to end this game. Opponent may have a trick. I'm kind of fine with that if they do. On the turn. Opponent's got something they're itching to try to use. Garna. Yeah, that's fine. Second Garna is second Garna. They're going to get our 2 land. I imagine they'll tap out for it. Yep, you got it. Doesn't really punish us. They can't attack. Not a big deal. Means we can't crack back, in theory. Because Garna is just flash, so that's fine. We are drawing crazy amounts of land. 1, 2, 3... that's 8 is 11, 12 land so far we've seen. And we have how many cards left? 16. So we've seen 11 of 17, so there's 6 and 16 left. But we need to just not draw any more of those. This is the guy I was talking about, Kelton Overseer. So I think that should be game. I don't think we could have beat this card anyway. Because we can block 3. Pass to blockers, that'd be great. We can block 3. We can block 3. We take that many. So I think we're in good shape and we maximized to the best of our ability. I just think that our opponent drew more spells than we did. And even though we drew more cards, we drew so many land. We drew an above average rate of land, for sure. A statistically high number, if one would say. But again, let me know in the comments if you think there's a way I could have tightened up play. That's always the goal, is to tighten up the play. Even in these flashback drafts, which are supposed to be fun, you still want to play well. I think this is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. We can play the Get To Journey Mage. We can play a Familiar or a Cyclops. We go first. We have the Memorial to Genius to play first. Always nice. Arcanist would be a nice draw. I just always like shoring things up. That ain't going to happen. But we get to play Naked Journey Mage if we want. If they do land pass, I may not. If they do critter, I may be tempted to. I don't mind holding against the Jousting Lance. I'm not in a huge rush. Our next play is going to be Cyclops. That may pair up pretty well against the Jousting Lance. It may pair up very poorly against the Jousting Lance. We'll see. It may have to be Fiery Intervention. What I'm worried about is flyers. So then the question starts to become, where do we aim things? Like, this is a very above rate creature. First strike plus what would be first strike. Not the best thing in the world for them, but they do get to present right now. They get to present if they want to spend the turn, most of the turn, they get to present a 4/2 first striker if they want. We get to then return fire with the Cyclops to keep parity on life totals. And we get to follow up with potentially a Fiery Intervention if we want it. This opponent's going deep on the equipment. Sarah Disciple. See, these are one of the things. These are one of the cards we're worried about, for sure. So they're whole board first strike, so we can't swing in the Cyclops yet. So it's interesting. So we can, like, burn out the Knight of Grace. Then we're kind of racing against the Sarah Disciple, which will potentially have a bunch on it. I'm thinking the Knight of Grace may have to go. The Jousting Lance doesn't mean much, nor does the Shield of the Realm. So I think we're going to Fiery Intervention the Sarah Disciple, which seems a little ridiculous. Or not the Sarah Disciple, excuse me. The Knight of Grace. And we'll try to take him down, take him out. And the next turn we get to follow up with Divination plus Journey Mage if we can't find anything better. Okay, they're going to take the turn to Blessed Light. That's understandable. All they have is a 1/1 flyer, so it's going to be hard to beat. Or we'll just cast as a Heat. That also sounds pretty good to me. I don't mind taking the turn to do that. This is an extremely hard threat to remove. They used their Blessed Light already. So they're going to toss everything on this Serra Disciple and hope it's good enough. Oh, man. I'm going to Divination first. Kind of make it look like we didn't just oops that Deep Freeze. But I'm definitely casting that Deep Freeze. And try to clock the opponent down. Next turn is going to be a Pardic Wander, and we're going to try to just... Well, that might be a Joyous Familiar. We'll see. Sanctum Spirit. They get to move one piece of equipment over if they want to. Lifelink plus the prevent damage is kind of nice. So it prevents damage to the creature, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to go ahead and play a Cloud Reader Sphinx here. Like, it's a 3/4. It's hard to answer. It lets us instantly get value with Scry 2, which is fantastic. I think both of these cards are a little too weak, to be honest. And we still have plenty of good follow-ups. So they can pop the Jousting Lance on the Sanctum Spirit and come at us with 5 lifelink. That would put them up to 11. We crack back for 8. They elect not to do that. No blocks. They're going to go up to 9 and then go back down to 1 here. Oh, Varix Bladewing with Kicker. That is hard to deal with. Okay, opponent evened up things. We have to play Joyous Familiar here because we have to present blockers. I'm still not into playing Naked Journey Mage here. This 2 damage could end up mattering. We can't attack, unfortunately. Varix Bladewing. Jeez, this card's very good. So they get to move. Okay, they're going to give it first. That doesn't matter too much. So you get to prevent the first 2 damage. So that gives it... But it doesn't... It's... What? They have to have a pump spell, right? I'll call them on it. Or maybe they're just sacrificing it to gain life. Okay. I'm cool with that. Flame of Keld. Discard your hand. Put that on the Varix. That's understandable. Okay, here we go. Play the Arcanist. I think I'm going to hold to cast the Memorial. Yeah, I think I want to use the Memorial here in light of them going up to 3 cards in hand. We're going to need some kind of answers, my guess. We're going to go for the Varix here. 6/4 first strike. I don't mind taking the hit here. That seems kind of ambitious because they have to leave the Varix back. So they're going to take 11 here, potentially. Oh, my crackback. Their crackback would be lethal after that. So I'm interested to see if they are willing to move some things around. Move the shield over. And no follow-up past that. So we're going to crack our Memorial. And see if that nets us anything. Another Get to Journey Mage and a Syncopate. Okay. What can we do here? We have a lot of mana, so Syncopating is going to be hard to do. They have this thing that's going to go off to deal extra damage. So we have to be cognizant of that. Right now, this Karak's Bladewing deals with Zahid. It eats a Cloud Reader if it comes in, so I just don't think we have attacks. So I'm just going to play a Get to Journey Mage on the ground. and then leave up Syncopate. Or maybe, do I need to play the Partick Wander? No, because that just deads me to so many things. Because if they instant speed Blessed Light, which costs 5, which they happen to have. Because I'm debating on the Partick Wander just because then I could possibly present an attack back that's decent. Because I do think that this is going to want to incentivize the opponent to attack me. The question is it worth countering a spell? I think the answer is yes. This gives me the opportunity to counter a spell for a decent amount of mana. Why does this say times 29? That's weird. Dub on the Karox Bladewing. So, comes a 6/6 first striker. They have 5, 6, 7 mana. We can only counter for 5. We're going to just syncopate that because we can. Oh, I can counter that and not tap my Medallion Arcanist. Why does this say times 29? That's so weird. So one of these deals 8. So we can go 8, 9, puts them to 3. Because then this blocks this. Okay. I have no cards in hand. Befuddle. I don't know if that does enough. I think we have to do this, which looks weird. And then I think we just play another Journey Mage, and we leave up Befuddle. I'd love to get down the Partick Wander, it's just 2 mana intensive right now. This lets us run a block, potentially. Okay, that takes care of one. Another Sanctum Spirit. So I'm going to equip everything over to the Sanctum Spirit, which makes sense. We know to target the opponent now with Weight of Memory. Cancel. Okay, face Source Wood. So if we take this out, we can attack for 6. We can attack for, 6. And then Zahid's obligated to block here. So I do think we have to do this. If we don't do that, they gain 5 life and go to 14 when they attack. So I think we do have to do this. I think we're just going to Shivan and Fire this thing. Cancel. I hate that it gives you the option when that's not an option. I don't have mana for this. So it's a 2-for-1, unfortunately, but that means if they don't have a backup plan, they can't attack me. Like, if they attack, they have to have a backup something to deal with what's going on. Yeah, you're in trouble. This is not an easy swing. Yeah, it's not a free ball at all. I'm just attacking with everything and see if they have any answer at all. Nope. Sweet. So we could have Get To Chronicler, try to play it safe, like let them eat a 3-2, put them to 1. But if they draw a removal spell, we're done. We're done any way you spin it. Because Fight with Fire wouldn't have been good enough. Shivan Fire Kick wouldn't have been good enough. So we didn't have enough to put on that thing. So if they had done a trick and blocked and put some damage on it, we could have then kicked the Get To Chronicler, gotten back the Fight with Fire, and then fought with Fire against the token to try and take it out. And that would have been an exchange of resources that would have been not fantastic, but it would have been much worse for the opponent because they had nothing on the board versus we would have had a couple little creatures on the board. So I think it was worth going for it there. We go first, and this isn't a great hand. There's nothing cheap to do, and we, again, don't want to just get run out by... This is good, and we can just put a land back here. That's fine. It means we can't necessarily cast our 4-drops, but we have, like, a lot of turns to try to cast our 4-drops. Love seeing this thing. I mean, glad I didn't run 2. Jeez. I'm seeing Deep Freeze all day. I'm going to play the Journey Mage. I think it's enough pressure against the Arcanist if they have no follow-up right away that they're not going to necessarily want to block. And they may think we're on a more aggro Wizards deck, so they may overextend to deal with this Journey Mage. Looks like that's what they may be considering here. Little do they know we are a slow controlling deck. Sorcerer's Wand. Okay. Alright, drew our land. That's nice. Jump check here. See if we can get something. Games report. Fantastic. No problem there. We'll go ahead and play a Hammered Explorer. I'm going to mill the opponent because, again, we don't have a lot of good interaction here. And we hit... okay, so opponent's a little bit more dedicated of a... What? Is a Jeskai Wizard deck? Okay. So a Narumeha there. A Helm of the Host is pretty gross. So if they go next turn, equip to just... Okay. So we're going to attack. They're not going to block. And we're going to play the Cyclops. So they're either going to take the turn to play a creature or they're going to try to equip the Helm of the Host. And either way is kind of fine. The Helm of the Host isn't bad here because they have 2 creatures to block the Cyclops with. But that's kind of fine. They don't kill the Cyclops, so there's no real point in it. It's an interesting move here. We'll see if they go for the equip. Can't even really deep freeze it because it actually almost makes the creature better. My hope is that they just play another creature. We need to find our, you know, the guy flinging the tree to blow up that Helm of the Host. Adelies. Okay. That will get deep freezed. Deep frozen. However that works in the past tense. Board the Weatherlight. What a bizarre deck the opponents put together. Like Jeskai, Historic Wizards. That's interesting. And they hit with Naban. They had Naban. I saw Narumeha with Adelies here. Sorcerer's Wand, Helm of the Host. Opponent's deck is quite the concoction. I like it. Spicy. So they can't attack with Vidalian Arcanist, but they can attack with Adelies. That's no problem. Okay, well that's a cleaner answer, and that lets us play a second spell. And now we get to serve in for 7, which is not negligible. And then follow up with a flyer that's going to be evasive and hard to answer. Fantastic. That means there's less of a chance the opponent's going to have time to Helm of the Host. Not that there's not turns in this format, but it means that they're going to have a tough time being able to... Their mana's constrained. This is a 5 equip cost. This card's a 3 equip cost. So they're not going to have a lot of time to do things. We'll see what Naban can do. But again, they play a second creature. I still almost don't mind serving with my Cyclops because it's going to be a creature that can trade with Naban. Yeah, and they can't even crack back to kill it. So they double block the Cyclops. It's still a 2/4. Oh, that's tempting to use the Joyrus Familiar to cast Naban or Zahid. I think the answer is yeah. I'll take that. I will confuse the opponent with my bizarre attacks. The single mana blue spell, so Opt is my guess. Look at this confusing ass attack. If they put 2 on Hammered Explorer to get that off the board, that's totally fine. My opponent's down on resources, but I mean, that's kind of the cost when you're playing cards like Sorcerer's Wand and Helm of the Host, is these are cards. They're committed to the board in some way. So they're not necessarily the best choice. Because they're going to go block with Gitu Chronicler and rescue their Gitu Chronicler. That's interesting. Take 3 in the interim, and we're going to cast Zahid for its alternate cost. Oh, it does interact favorably. Okay. So it does reduce that alternate cost. So it's just because it's spells you cast. No matter what you use to cast them, whether it's their mana cost or an alternate cost. They're going to get 2 Nabans here. They're taking 7 in the air, a bunch on the ground. Don't care. Here's my answer to Naban with Helm of the Host on it. Don't care. You're going to have to get rid of it now. You spent 5 mana to make a 2/1, is what I say to that. Because you can't not afford to block. They can double block the Cyclops. They take 10 damage and go to 1. And I still get to take out both of their Nabans. So that double block is awful. Their blocks here are awful. They tapped out for a 2/1. That's why you don't want to pay 5 mana for a 2/1. They're tanking. I mean, blocks are bad. I don't know what texture of your hand is. Well, I know half the texture of your hand. I don't know all of it, but this looks bad. I just don't see how this works in your favor. Punches DC out of frustration. This is what I mean. Like, come on. Like, my time has value. Like, okay, you made 2 2/1s. I'm not attacking you. That's insane. You have a rare on the board that's very powerful. I'm gonna attack. We played 1-for-1 on rares. But if opponent's playing rescue, like, their deck is weird. His deck is very weird. Cool. I like the spice. Don't like the opponent acting like a child because the locks are bad. But what are you going to do? I always run into these people on Arena. Dan says he never has this problem on Arena. And I run into... It's like I am just like a magnet for the worst people on Arena. Let me know in the comments if you all have trouble on Arena with this kind of childish behavior or not. What's this? Isan's Legion. Sorry. You're in gold, for God's sake. It's not like you're playing for like in Diamond trying to grind a mythic. Give me a break. And you're playing a Flashback Dominaria draft. Like, really? You're playing a fun format and you're in like a middling tier. Like, get over yourself, please. Don't like that. So, alright. Onward and upward, going for our 4th win, 1 loss. That 1 loss was because we drew a ton of land, too. Like, I think a legit turnip is our opponent. I really think the deck is okay. I was hoping for 4 or 5 wins, so we'll see if that remains true. I mean, it's got divination in it. I think we're okay. We could get aggroed out, and you're seeing in the flashback drafts a lot more aggro decks. We've seen 2 aggro decks. We've seen some other... Oh boy, second Navigator's Compass of the night. That's interesting. Again, that card just considered largely unplayable. There's enough time to draw your colors. You really didn't need Navigator's Compass too badly. Unless you were playing like Traxo. So you have to be playing something pretty crazy to want to play the Navigator's Compass. But, maybe opponent's up to something. But I can tell you one thing. People really aren't respecting the fact that this passes priority. This card passes priority. Or makes them hold priority. That's what that card does. Please respect the fact that people's time matters. That card will give you priority. Because it can always tap to change the types of lands. So please respect that fact. And please play like this matters to you. So I think we're going to take a hit here. We're going to have to try to figure out what we're going to do with our next turn. Because likely that Jousting Lance is going to come down. So we have to decide kind of what we want to do here. We could fight with fire. I don't think I want to do that till they commit the mana to do that. So for now, I think the right answer is going to be set up this Homerid Explorer. We're not getting any discounts off the Joyous Familiar. Arcanist is just super mana inefficient. And we can wait till next turn and play 2 spells with the Arcanist and the Journey Mage. Again, I'm not going to mill myself. I'm going to mill them. And again, I think the right answer, if the deck was a little bit better set up for it, would be to mill ourselves. Windy! But, in this case, I don't really have any interaction that helps get things back outside of 1 Get 2 Chronicler, which I could mill potentially. Which I know isn't necessarily a great answer. But see here, they've spent the whole turn to do this. Like, yeah, you spent 3 mana, multiple turns to set this up for getting in 5 damage. It's cool with me. Here I'm going to fight it with fire. And then I'm going to play an Arcanist. And then I'm going to attack with my Homerid Explorer. Opponent, please pay attention. You have a card that does stuff. I understand the pass button is weird. There should be like a super pass button or something. I get it, but... Like, no, I seriously do not want to use my Navigator's Compass, the button. I get it, but you gotta do something here. I think I'll play the Journey Mage here. The reason being is because now I have like kind of this precarious double block with the Homerid Explorer and the Journey Mage. So what I'm going to try to do is maybe like run that block and see if the opponent does anything. Then we can befuddle. And that's interesting. Again, all this math changes if the Jousting Lance gets put on it. But this does give -4, -0. So it's an interesting little bit of business. So we'll see. We'll see how the turn runs. They're at mana. They're at a yeah. See, they're gonna go ahead and try to run that. I think I'm gonna befuddle it first. Because there are pump spells. There are removal spells. There are a lot of things that make this bad for us. So I'm just going to block with the Arcanist. Cool. Nice. Oh man, Wall was a great draw there. Just going to attack him with everything. If they have a Gideon's Reproach, that's fine. They don't. Couldn't even finish saying it before damage was dealt. It only costs 2 to get Indestructible. I mean, this card's not good, but it's good here. Now they're elephants on blocking duty. Ugh, Mishra's Self-Replicator. Oh, that's bad. Okay, we're going to Bombardment, because we need to get rid of this Mishra's Self-Replicator, like right now. Oh yeah, I got a rare. You got a weird rare with a lot of text on it? I got a weird rare with a lot of text on it. You better believe that. I'm getting the compass to prove a point. There goes the lance. The Navigator's Compass is the thing we really don't care about. The Replicator is the thing we care about the most. So, we'll see. If they play a card and can replicate here. It costs 1 to self-replicate. Yeah, they've been holding that Sparring Construct. No question about it. Well, they have another follow-up. Okay, and that explains the Navigator's Compass as well. So now we're going to have a lot of self-replicators. Which is fine. The board's fine. Like, it's not in an unstable position. But, you know. Alright. Play a Zahid. I'm definitely just going to pay full cost. Because I don't want to tap this wall, which is kind of important to me right now. It's precious. It's actually very good on this board, Zahid specifically, because this gives me a lot of time to... Or there's opponents like not presenting anything worthwhile here. But they're going to overrun the board very quickly with another historic card. Like if they play another Sparring Construct, they're going to get to make 3 more self-replicators. So we need to dead this opponent very fast. So, yeah, we were 1 short of casting Zahid plus Joyra's Familiar. Holy crap, opponent's deck is Spice City. This deck is sick. I like it a lot. This deck is cool. This is what Flashback Draft is all about. These fucking crazy decks. Jeez. That is good stuff, opponent. Get to Chronicler. For our Fight with Fire is pretty nice. Though I don't think we have time. So, the one advantage here that we have is that we can play the Joyra's Familiar. We can also play a Naked Arcanist. An opponent can't do anything to stop us, and that gives us... They have to deal with one of these 2 flyers, or they lose the game. They're also going to lose either their Navigator's Compass or their Mishra Self-Replicator on our end step. I hope it's a Replicator, obviously. Of course it won't be, because that's what we want the most. Hey, alright, you did it, Bombardment. Oh, they whiffed twice. Yeah, this card's brutal. This card's really cool. I had a lot of fun with it in Standard with Kaladesh. But ain't good right now. Haven Sentry is good enough. Not good enough. This costs 6 total. So the Replicator's not doing anything here. And they're not doing anything. So all their artifacts are going to come back to haunt us here in a minute. We can fight with fire, right? Yeah. We can do this because we have 2 Arcanists. So yeah, we got him. Oh no, they have 2 flyers. So we can't do that. So we just got to hold fight with fire for now. So if we fight with fire 1, they get to block, take 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they guaranteed would block Zahid, so they take. Then the rest, this couldn't be blocked. So they could block everything else. And these 2 would live, then they'd be able to crack back for a bunch. So, yeah. I don't think we can afford to attack. Because they trade off Joyra's Familiars. Sarah Disciple gets eaten. The Sparring Construct, the Servant, and all of these become 5/5s, right? Yeah, base power and toughness 5/5. So all those will need to be blocked. So no attacks, and we'll end the turn. I'm just going to hold them back with inevitability. The 2 flyers is a problem. The Antiquities War is a bit of a problem. So they will have 6 attackers that are big. 2 attackers that don't so much matter. This is interesting. If nothing else, has been a wacky game. I mean, they could just flunge for the, like, the Mise, but they know, I mean, like, they can count. They know we can not die. But they may just flunge because, you know, they're gonna flunge. Doesn't look like they're flunging. They're just attacking with all the bigs. Sure. 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need at least one of these Arcanists to live. So, yeah. I'm just trying to see what's unblocked at the moment. Okay, so just one of these. I put it in a really weird spot. Why'd you put it there? Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm going to do. Exchange life total. That doesn't do anything. Better than Evra. You don't do anything. Okay. Fight with fire. Kicked at your face. Cool. Sounds good. And we have taken down a legit turnip. Cool. Not bad, not bad. Keep fighting. That's the 4 wins I predicted. Let's just hope I don't go loss. But it's the 4 wins I predicted. Not bad. The deck's pretty good. It's not horrible. I feel like it could definitely have 1 or 2 upgrades, no question, in the middle of the deck. But overall, I'm not dissatisfied with it. It's a cool deck. Jelly Spotter. Being able to get 2 Chronicler or Fight with Fire back is great. It looks to me like in the deck... I'm going to mulligan this, by the way. It looks to me like in the deck, Blink and I may have been better than Shivan Fire. Speaking of Shivan Fire. This hand's actually pretty awesome. I'm tempted to put back an island. As weird as that sounds. Yeah, let's put back an island. We have time. We're on the draw. We have a few turns to get there. I just don't want to get aggroed out of the game. Always my fear with one of these slower decks is that we go, oh, a forest. We haven't seen one of those in a minute. Just in case they play like this, the dreaded second turn Llanowar Elf, I want to be able to Shivan Fire it if possible. Or the Elfheim Druid. Might be an O. I think it's an O2. I think it's an O2. It's been a minute. But I think it's an O2. Okay. So we drew the land. Duh. Never didn't have it. No, I just couldn't see a better discard there than that. To be honest. Sap Herd is a good one. We're just going to play our Journey Mage here. No attacks. Medallion Arcanist holds the board down nicely. Their attacks look pretty good. Yeah. That's bad. We can't do anything about it. Yeah. Alright. Holy crap! How'd this opponent lose a game? Traxos into Shalai. I guarantee they lost the game because they didn't go Traxos into Shalai. My god. Oh my god. I'm doing this now because, you know, reasons. Holy crap. I don't know what we draw to get out of this. Board the Weatherlight. Opponent went deep. They whiffed on it, by the way. Blood Tallow Candle, though. No blocks. Alright, that's nice. Alright, Deep Freeze coming in the clutch. Yeesh. This gives -5, -5. I'm not in a rush here. I think opponent definitely is incentivized to want to kill us. I'll just peck at him with the familiar for a little bit. If they're going to go this whole turn, just activate Blood Tallow Candle, I'm going to let them. Okay, yeah, they just elected to do nothing instead. Maybe they're flooded. Okay. I just don't want to give them too spicy a target for the Blood Tallow Candle, and I'm kind of happy with this as is. There's definitely an argument for playing the Sphinx there, letting them Tallow Candle it. Yeah, that's no problem. Now they can't candle. Oh, I was going to say, now they can't candle. Now they can. Suddenly they can again. Yep, no problem. I'm going to not do anything here. Both of our things are 5-drops. They may get fought. Yeah, alright. They're starting to get... Yeah, you got it. They're starting to get a little itchy. Yeah, Compass resolves. That seemed a little... I mean, I guess now they want to go on the offensive because they had the pad to their life total. This card is not good. Is the thing. I'm just thinking. Obviously. Just debating on that befuddle there. Okay. Reasons. Whisper Blood Liturgist. With a Shalai to get back. That's interesting. Sure. Shalai to get back. I was going to say, you lose your Whisper activation if you go that route. I'm on the turn. So they activate Whisper, likely by getting the... So I'm debating, because Shalai has good blocks. So they have 6 mana, right? So they can pump everything. So that becomes a 4/5. I think we have to let this resolve. And they're immediately using it. I'm just thinking what we do about the Shalai. Okay. Wow. I'm surprised. Zahid's a good one. So this speaks to me like they want to block Skizik with the Sap Herd. I'm kind of okay with that, because that means Whisper has to whisper itself. Ah, yes, I can only target Shalai. Yeah, that's fine. I don't know if we can overcome this. I think I will do that, because then I can follow up a Cloud Reaver Sphinx as well. Both of those are pretty bad. That's kind of fine. Whisper can sacrifice itself. I'm just thinking about how they block here. I think their blocks are kind of too good for me to attack. Get 2 Journey Mage is decent. So they block here most likely, or they try to eat this. They go to 3. 2 is not enough there. Then, so all 3 flyers attack. They block here maybe, and they take 7, go to 1. They take 5 and go to 3. I think I have to attack like this. The Arcanist can't attack because it's on the ground. Okay, so they made the safe play. Yeah, that's to each opponent. Okay, and they made no moves with Whisper. Exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. Sure. That was a top deck. I'm going to befuddle Shalai because that's all I can do. Okay. Well, opponent's absurd top decks definitely got them there. Had they not top decked that exact card, we could have beaten them potentially. So, sometimes you lose to your bad luck, sometimes you lose to your opponent's good luck. But I think we did do pretty well to maximize our outs there again. And that's what it's all about. It's not necessarily win or lose all the time. I mean, win or lose is great, but or win's great, but fix it in post, love that. It's about trying to play a good game. This is a mulligan. Or 1 cheap interactive spell is not on color. 1,000,000 4-drops is not necessarily going to get us there. So, yeah, not bad. And it's all about just really playing the game well. Trying to maximize your outs. Trying to get... Ooh. May have to keep this one. May have to keep this one. May have to bottom get to Chronicler. I think that's correct, sadly. You'll need some draws, for sure. Mountain would be a great draw. Mountain's a great draw. Still going to lead on the island. Mostly because I'm an idiot. Okay, good. Not punished. Not that, again, that was a dumb play. Don't, you know. Don't do the thing. Goodbye, Valduk. I'm not even farting around. We have the mana. Like, normally waiting till they go to do something to it so you can 2-for-1 them is a little better. But I would like to get that thing off the board. Because we could have drawn a follow-up there, and I would have liked to commit to the board if possible. But, yeah, I'm not farting around with that thing. We have the perfect answer for this card next. Just debating on if I... Like, because what I could do is I could go Explorer into... Or I could go Cyclops into Sphinx. I think I'm just going to do that, because I'm not that worried about a 2-2 flyer. Sphinx answers it pretty well. I don't see a need yet to use the Deep Freeze. We'll see, but I don't see it yet. Icy Manipulator is quite a good Magic card. Let's see if they elect to go for our lands. They do not. We're going to go to combat right away and let the Manipulator down our Cyclops. And then we'll go into our second main phase and play this Cloud Reader 6. I definitely don't need a land, and I think it's a little... Get to Journey Mage seems a little mediocre for me. So I'm not into that. So we know the Chronicler's on the bottom, and Get to Journey Mage is on the bottom, and a land is on the bottom. So they're going to full-on destroy our 3/4. Leave up a mana to tap down the... And now we're getting into a territory where we might want to consider using the Deep Freeze on the Warcry Phoenix, because that's their only clock at the moment. I'm Hammered Explorer. I'm going to target myself. Reasons this time is because the opponent is playing black. Black means that they can soul salvage. And I don't necessarily want to put their best card in the yard for them to soul salvage back. Or use some other piece of graveyard interaction. So I'm not into that. Goblin War Chief's interesting. The Frenzied Rage on it. I give it Menace? Okay. Alright, we gotta answer a lot. Yep. Don't like playing a defensive Skizzik, but here we are playing a defense. Now they can Manipulator it down, attack us for 6, but then from there things get a lot harder. We need a good draw. A good draw would be a Vidalian Arcanist. Something along those lines would be our best draws here. Looks like they're going to have a removal spell for Skizzik. You don't need to use a removal spell because you can just use your Icy. You can hold that card for something better. Yeah, you can just Icy. Icy's way better here. Yep. Sheevan Fire we used already on Valduke. We discarded our Fiery Interventions, the Tree Fleeing card I mentioned earlier. What? Why didn't they play that pre-con? Oh, because we could have just blocked. I get it. So we're at 2. We have to Deep Freeze, but the Manipulator kills us. So there's nothing we can do to overcome this. We just drew a little too chonky. Opponent drew kind of what they needed. It could have been that turn I should have Deep Freezed as opposed to play the Skizzik and tried to just Deep Freeze the thing with 2 cards on it. So kind of just taking a 2-for-1 and just held back to just the Warcry Phoenix. The problem is with a lot of our removal spells in the yard, I don't know as though we could have had enough to necessarily dealt with the Warcry Phoenix over time. I was really hoping for the Deep Freeze to deal with the Warcry Phoenix and blockers to deal with the goblins. So maybe that's not correct. Icy Manipulator really messes things up. It's been a good Magic card since it's been around. I love Dominaria because of all the throwbacks. Icy Manipulator, Sarah Angel, stuff like that. It's like, oh, these cool old cards. Really a neat set. Really fun to play in Limited. You get to see fun, long, interesting games. So hopefully you dug them. It is a slower format, so if you want time to play your cards, you're definitely going to get it in Dominaria. And now I'm up to over 5,000 gems, so I get to play more Dominaria for free. At the end here, I'll do on my YouTube business. Please subscribe if you would consider it. We'd really greatly appreciate it. If you like live streams, we live stream every Sunday on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/superliminalfilms, and, you know, all the rest of the good stuff. I'm not going to keep bothering you with all this. And until next time, cast more spells.